Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Almighty Blues FC, a fan channel for all to see. And I'm hoping today everyone will see because, yes, we have a very, very special guest. Yes, obviously, she's been on the channel first, and it's a delight for me absolutely having Ellie back. Ellie, how you been? How I think the summer is almost done, but how's it? Pretty hot still?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's finally cooling down a bit here in Madrid, and by cooling down I mean like 30, 32. They've had like some pretty crazy heat waves, and I've been like traveling basically the entire summer working from different places, which is super cool, but I'm finally back home, which is nice, and back to the routine as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, for people watching out there, do actually check out Elizabeth's channel because I think, if I'm not wrong, you've touched 12K. I think last time it was probably 11K, this time 12K. So fantastic. As in, let's have you every month. Hopefully, both our channels kind of can grow that way. Absolutely fantastic. But I think talking about great news, the best news that I am obviously getting, as in pretty obvious, that is about Wesley Fofana. Like finally, it has happened. I think this was probably one of those sagas, Eddie, that you would probably relate to. I know last time we discussed, I think that during that time, the Kukurea saga was going on. But the fact that this has happened finally, pretty sure that we know that this guy can actually be here at Chelsea for not just 6 years, maybe even beyond, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know which signing I was most excited about. Fofana's up there. Like I've rated him for so many years, and when he got injured, I think it was last season, I was absolutely gutted for him because I thought that he was just so good for Leicester. And I'm just very excited. Like all of the signings that Chelsea made, I feel like have been so on point. Obviously, there's always more. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we need a midfielder," which I agree with. But we've been going through a complete restructuring, and I think that all of the signings that Tuchel and BhaLee have made have been on point players as well that will be at Chelsea for years to come. And Fofana, I'm just so over the moon. What do you think about the signing?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, yes, people, I know that the Manchester United game is going on. So I'm like, I have one eye on that because I know that Manchester United scored. Southampton almost scored, by the way. Yes. So I think you're absolutely right, Ali. The fact that Todd Boehly and Tuchel are investing in youth. I know that 75 million is huge money, and not just him. As in, again, we've had I think Zakharyan. I think another person that we are linked with very strongly, which is imminent, coming from Dynamo Moscow. Casadei has been one who's come from Inter Milan. Then we have Chukwuemeka. So all these kind of add up to one thing. Simply put, that we are investing for the future as well as the present. Because if you realize, all of these players, neither of them are like, not like 14, 15, 16. They're all like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that tells me that there is some amount of experience when it comes to basically them being closer to first team football. And of course, in case of Fofana, it's absolutely brilliant that he's played at the very, very top level for a long while. But absolutely, Anirudh, thanks for joining. And again, if people can like, share, and subscribe, brilliant. We'll have more people, more fun. But yes, I'm pretty sure that people are watching the match. They'll come as soon as the match is over. But having said that, Ellie, the price tag. Now, I know that Chelsea, the reason why it went so long, the saga, is because of the fact that we didn't want, as in Fofana, to get all the pressure, and we know, as in we better than any other club know what a big money signing can do, and most of our big money signings haven't really worked. Let's admit that. But do you think difference between him being at 75 million versus an 85 million as a base price will probably make a difference in some sort, or do you feel that it was simply Leicester playing hardball?
I think that when you have that like added pressure of being the club's world record signing for Lukaku, or when it was Kai when he was the record signing, or if you bid over 80 million because Maguire was the record signing, I think that that does come with like an inherent pressure. So I completely understand Chelsea wanting to try to save him from that because it's just unneeded. Even if it's a couple of million, I think that just having that off of his mind is going to make loads of difference. And hopefully he can slot right into this Chelsea side. I think we're going to see him playing right from the get-go, honestly.
Yeah, and yeah, talking about that, I know that we'll come to the predicted lineups and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, like, the timing of it about him being confirmed, at least not confirmed, I would say confirmed with Fabrizio Romano, tweeting about it. Pretty sure it's confirmed. But just before the Leicester match, will definitely give a kind of boost of confidence, because especially the fact that we are having very less centre halves proper. But now that Fofana is going to come in future matches, How do you see panning it out? Do you see him as a player who's coming in for us to change the system, go for the back? Because we know that Thiago Silva, as much as all of us adore him, he cannot play week in, week out, right? So is that the thing that you're looking at, or you're looking at simply that back five, which is going crazy, on social media about Kukurea, Chilwell, Reece James, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and no Fofana? Like, these six options are probably world class. So are you saying that no back five has worked well for us? We won the Champions League, but in the league that's not gone well. So would you be tempted now that Fofana is coming to play back four?
The thing is, I don't think we necessarily have the midfield right now to play a back four. As much as I want to see it, because I think we're building our defense, because we know that Ben Chilwell and Kukurea can both play left back. Reece James can play right back. Fofana, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, they can all play center back, but we don't have somebody who can really sit in front of the defense. I feel like it would be very open. N'Golo Kante, maybe, but he's injured. He's not going to be back for at least 4 months, but I feel like he's always looked better with a partner. And Jorginho, just not the position for him. We would need somebody, I think, as a lone DM if we are going to play in a back four, and I just think our midfield would be completely overrun. So I think right now the thing for me is get Reece James back to right wing back, because I feel like we're wasting his talent a bit at right center back. Obviously, he's incredible in multiple positions, which is a blessing for Chelsea, but I think he's at his best when he's playing right wing back, and Chelsea are also at their best because he's just world class in my opinion at putting balls into the box, putting crosses, getting forward, causing havoc. He scores a lot of goals as well, so I really think that we need to have that presence. So for me, I think that we've kind of, I don't want to say like lost our way a bit, but when Tuchel came in, we just were this incredible defensive structure, and we were so hard to penetrate. We were keeping clean sheets all the time, and it was, I remember for the Champions League game, they were saying like, oh, it's like this immovable force in Chelsea versus like this crazy attack in City. And I just feel like we don't have that as much anymore. So I think for me, the priority would be, all right, play a back five, because this is what we have right now. These are the players that we have until we get some midfielders in. I don't really see that changing, and just try to like limit the amount of goals that are coming through. And then hopefully Ben Chilwell gets fit, Kukurea, Reece James help to provide that width and get us scoring, because they're the ones who have looked actually like scoring more so than our attack as well, which is
It's
another
what
topic.
I think it was on the Lampard, right? That probably when Chilwell came in, and then we saw that the fullbacks or wingbacks were really already there. The main people were actually, scoring, and it's still continuing. And that's the saddest part. I know that Leeds game kind of proved it itself. Again, coming from that, what, a 0-3 against Leeds, as in that's really not anywhere close to what we all anticipated. But even in that game, Eli, you're right. As in, if you see that Reece James from right center back, when he overlapped, when Ruben Loftus-Cheek played like as basically a wing back, but an inverted wing back. So sometimes Reece James was bombing on, and that is when we saw those crosses coming in. But again, we don't have the number 9 in the box when you're talking about a proper number 9 who gets to the crosses. On the left hand side, I really feel that when Chilwell plays, probably as an attacking outlet, he's a little bit better than Kukurea. Would you go with that?
For me, Chilwell is still getting back from injury, so I think
Yeah.
perhaps if I'm comparing Chilwell when he was at the top of his game, then maybe. But right now, it's clear that he's still lacking some match fitness. It's completely to be understandable. He hasn't played in nearly a year, and he's getting back to it. So I think that we'll see that player again, but it's going to take some time. And in the meanwhile, I've been pretty impressed with Kukurea. I think it was the game against Leeds where he actually, I think it was against Leeds where he put in a really good ball, and then Sterling scored, but it was offside. I think that was
Offside,
the
yeah,
match.
exactly. That
Um,
was it. I think early on, exactly.
but I think that
I
he's
think,
combining well. So
yeah. No, as in, I get your point absolutely. It's just the point that maybe he needs more games to kind of get to those attacking spaces. Where probably he'll be more effective. I know that Brighton played a certain way. Maybe they didn't play the way where he could score more goals. So maybe I'm judging too early here. And it was actually asked why Chelsea are struggling in defense is because Chelsea lost Anthony Barry, who was key in defensive organization. Absolutely, and that's That's sometimes a thing, right? Yes, we all expect these world class players to do very well week in, week out. But at the same time, don't you think like these are all at the end of the day, young men between 20 and 30 years of age, right? As in, so they are still kind of learning. So it comes to a point where your defensive organization is required. And that's where probably Ellie, as in, I'll ask you this because last match again, Aspi, you are a fan, I'm a big fan. We know that he is not going to play week in week out again, right? And Jorginho probably is starting right now, but again, maybe when Kovacic is fit and when he's back in form, I personally feel that maybe Kovacic kind of is needed because we need a progressive ball runner. He's probably one of them. And then maybe would you say that is it time to make Mason Mount the captain on the pitch, or do you feel Thiago Silva should still be that man? Because somewhere down the line, I think there is that not that one voice in the pitch which is coming, with Aspilicueta not being on the pitch.
Yeah, it's a hard one because I think right now the order is Aspi, Jorginho, Conte,
Yeah.
Thiago Silva. And Thiago Silva obviously doesn't speak English, but he's still a massive presence on the pitch, and I'm sure that he can communicate with players in Portuguese, in French. He might speak another language that I'm not even aware of. But I really like the idea of Mason being a captain, but I'm not sure if maybe it's like a little bit too early for that, given like how senior Thiago Silva is. I think that I would probably stick with him for now, and then maybe if Aspi leaves, if Georgie leaves, then maybe even Conte leaves, then you kind of like start reconsidering that. I think Mason would be like one of the first names on that list.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. I think probably just while I also kind of agrees with that. You know what? I had put up basically a predicted lineup. I don't know, and I'm going to pull up the official lineup, which is going to be out in just a minute, I believe. But this is
It's
what
out.
I
It's
had
out.
predicted. Oh, it's out, is it? Okay, so this is what I predicted. Now let's see what is the official lineup. I'm just looking at Twitter if I can pull it up quickly on the screen as well. But let me actually pull it up. And yes, people, again, do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Let's have more people. Let's have your thoughts. But what were you expecting? Okay, I can see it on screen now. I'm going to share it. Okay, so basically, not many surprises, or rather, no surprises at all. Chaloba, wow, people, yes, all of you are wondering why Chaloba is kind of going on loan or not. Chaloba is starting. That is breaking news. Breaking news. In fact, there is. Let me see if I got it right. I think I got it right. Yes. So this is what I can see here. Let me minimize a little bit. Wow. So James Thiago Silva, obvious fact that Ellie, you would say that Chaloba is playing because of the fact that no Koulibaly and he didn't want to go with Aspilicueta against Wadi's pace. Is that fair?
Is this Rhys James at left wing back?
I have no idea. No, I think it's going to be the same thing. Loftus-Cheek is right wing back, Reece James right centre back, centre half will be Thiago Silva, left centre back maybe Chaloba is what I'm guessing. I was assuming that maybe left
Yeah,
centre back because Aspi played in the game as well, right? Is it not?
yeah. Aspi did play. He's on the bench.
Yeah, because in the Everton game, I remember during the second half, Aspi played the left center half role in the back five. So I was expecting that Aspi might just get in that. But one shocking thing is that no Chilwell in the starting lineup, despite us not having Koulibaly, and we thought that maybe Kukurea will go left center back. Do you think it's a bit too risky having Chaloba? I don't think the left center back is used to it, right? As in, that's what it looks like to me. Again, people might say that it might be 4-3-3. Who knows?
Yeah, I honestly like until I see what see the players on the field, I'm
let
like
me
kind
pull up.
of by this
Yeah,
starting 11 because I assumed that we would see Reece James back at right wing back. If
no, I think I'm just pulling out a website as well. Again, it's everyone's guess, like us. That's what Thomas Tuchel gives you. Like anyone who can guess the Thomas Tuchel level of formation to begin with, I swear that person deserves the Nobel Prize. That's how difficult it is at times, right?
I
But let
just
me
like
try
be
and
surprised if he goes back with Jorginho and Gallagher as a pivot because I felt like it didn't really work versus Leeds.
exactly.
And I just felt like they got overrun. And obviously, that's not Conor Gallagher's natural position. It was his first time playing in that position. And Mason as well on the wing, I feel like he plays better when he's a little bit like further, like deeper in the pitch as well. Um, So I don't know. I'm so confused.
Wow. You know what? Again, it's everyone's guess, people, and everyone in the chat, whoever's watching, do let us know what do you all think based on this lineup. And this website, fotmob.com, is saying that we are going 3-5-2. And again, even they are changing as we speak. So you can imagine, things are changing as we speak. So even they are not 100% sure. But I think it's probably, I think this looks likely. I think the only risk that probably Tuchel wants to take in a system where we have been conceding goals as well is the fact that Chaloba might play left centre back. I actually agree with this lineup which is on screen, but I 100% get your point. I hear you, Ellie, because Gallagher, the best virtue of Gallagher is like he presses from the front and he takes that second shot. The second ball he wins it and he just takes a shot. So for me, that's a huge miss. So I don't know whom do we have on the bench. Let me just quickly see the bench as well. Okay, I don't think this is. Let me refresh it for once. I think they're still trying to figure out what is the formation. But okay, so we have N'Golo Kante, Kovacic out. So probably I'm guessing
Kovacic is
maybe
on the bench.
I think yeah, I think Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic is on the bench. Yes, Kovacic is on the bench. But I'm just putting a left field kind of a choice, Ellie, for you. Don't you think that Ampadu, I know, is very inexperienced at English Premier League level, but the fact that he's played at the topmost level recently and he's someone, if you think the two most, as in outstanding attributes of Ampadu, what? Probably one is that he is a hard tackler, right? He's one of them who's known for that rash tackles, which is I know on the edge. The second thing is he's a good ball player. He's a good passer. He has a vision, so, and that's exactly what we need in midfield, considering that we don't have a Kante or a Kovacic. So, would it not have been better if maybe Gallagher not working last game, we should have given Ampadu a chance? Also, the fact that Ampadu may stick around because Chaloba might go on loan. Don't you think so? That would have been better.
I don't know. I think like it's hard on the players when you keep changing as well, like who's in the starting 11 and you keep changing the position that they play. And I think that's kind of one of the things that Tuchel has struggled with. Like we saw at Leeds, he just threw tactics out the window and then basically played like a 4-1-6 or whatever it was. And so I kind of understand like wanting to play the same players because they're going to have been like training this and not like necessarily throwing Ampadu in it. I think he probably could get a job done. I would probably prefer to see like Ruben in midfield because he can play. We know that he's played there like plenty. But yeah, I feel like we're just super, super light on midfielders right now. And I don't know what the solution is. And I think Ampadu as well was one of the ones that they mentioned might potentially go out on loan. It's still TBD on that.
Yeah. And again, like I know that a lot of fan base is kind of, as in I know that it's shocking, but that they are not kind of, going with Tuchel with his decisions more recently. But people, let's be honest. We only see one side of the coin. We don't really know what the young player himself kind of wants as well. So I can understand totally why Chalobah wants to go, because especially the fact that we've had I think Gehi, Livramento, I think Tammy is left recently. So a lot of people who've kind of coming from the academy, talk about basically Lamptey. So many people have left and they're doing well. So maybe that is what they see, that maybe in Italian football is maybe the next place where they could do well, right? But again, I know a lot of people are also asking about Mendy versus Kepa. Where are you on that, Eli? I know that Mendy's had loads of mistakes the last 6 months, especially. But Kepa had that one against Leicester itself in the FA Cup. I know it wasn't a mistake, but when we conceded that goal when he lost the FA Cup final, people said that Kepa, from far, he cannot kind of block those shots. So, what was your preference for this game and generally for the season?
I think it makes sense to stick with Mendy, honestly. I hope that he's learned that he shouldn't really try to play out of the bag, especially when he's under pressure. We saw it versus Madrid. We saw it again versus Leeds. I think there might have been like one other mistake that I'm not remembering as well. But I'm sure it's something that he's going to have talked about with Thomas Tuchel. But I think maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think like if you take Mendy out of the game, that's just going to shoot his confidence down the drain, and that's not what we need right now.
Yeah.
And against Spurs, I actually thought, even though we conceded 2 goals, I actually thought that he was quite good. And for me, Kepa has been good as a backup keeper in spurts, but he's not somebody that I think is going to take over the starting number one position from Mendy. It's not like he's had an absolute mare. So for me, I think give Mendy a good more couple of weeks. If it's really not working out and he's continuously making mistakes, then that's when for me it becomes a problem. But right now it really isn't a problem for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Also, like I know that a lot of people remind me about Mendy not doing well against Real Madrid and things like that. But again, there have been one-off moments, as in maybe it's the fact that we've had a newer defense also. Remember that Koulibaly was new in defense, Kukure is new in defense. So maybe he's also taking his own time, kind of understanding that who kind of can play with the ball, who cannot play with the ball, the extra second. So I totally get that. I'll be honest, but Ellie, but I was thinking like last game and the way that Tuchel always kind of puts Kepa. I was thinking that maybe just not the fact that Mendy is not a number one, he should be a number one. I 100% get that, but maybe just for the fact that okay, give as in putting that voice that there is a competition and meritocracy is a thing. I thought that maybe he might give Kepa a chance. Especially the fact that the transfer window is still open, so you never know if today also if Kepa is not getting a chance. Do you see Kepa kind of moving on? I know it's difficult to find a buyer or someone affording a salary, but Spain he's not there. We know that, and you follow the Spanish team very closely. So pretty sure that this guy wants to be in the Spain World Cup. I think this is his last chance in the next 4 days of the transfer window, right?
Yeah, I have not seen any links for Kepa in the transfer window. A couple of months ago, I saw like a couple, but it really has tinkered off since then. And I think the big thing with Kepa, like you said, is his salary. I think he's on like 150, maybe even 180K a week, which is insane.
Wow,
And
for a
so
backup goalkeeper, that too.
yeah, so unless he takes a pay cut, it's going to be extremely difficult. And not only that, but he hasn't been playing. So I think the most reasonable thing from Chelsea's perspective is probably to try to get him a loan. I don't know if I know we signed a keeper from Slovenia.
Solina, yeah, Chicago Fire, exactly.
But he's not available until January anyway. So I would kind of be surprised if we let Kepa go out on loan without having somebody that is like really going to step up as the backup keeper. And yeah, I think like the salary is just like a really big issue. And so I don't know. I guess it's up to him if he wants to take the pay cut or not. I don't know.
Okay, so Sagnik is like, I don't know why Aspi is not in the 11. Again, you know what? There are two sides of the coin. I'm with you, Sagnik. I'm sure Ellie is with you. But the fact is, as in that's the Chelsea fan base. As in we know, we are all on Twitter as well. People know. When Chalobah is not given a chance at all, people are like, okay, why doesn't Tuchel look at Chalobah? And now that Chalobah is playing, people will be like, okay, come on. Aspi should have played this game. So I think, Ellie, let's be honest, there's a never-ending debate, right? As in we cannot, as in let it just be with the manager, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you because I love Aspie. He's my favorite player. I love seeing him on the pitch, so I would totally want to see him as well. But whatever Thomas Tuchel picks.
Absolutely. And I know people again will be talking tactics a little bit more. And please smash the like button. And in case you're not subscribed to Elizabeth's channel, please do that. It is tagged in the title below, as well as our second channel, which is Almighty Sports Plus. I'm going to be basically be sharing something. I know there's a Leicester fan in the chat. Again, not to kind of as put a pun, but the fact is, come on, as in let's be honest. So this guy actually wanted Chelsea all the while. That's Fofana we're talking about, right? As in, it's pretty sure. So Rene in the chat, I'm really sorry. Yes, you've got rid of Fofana. You can say that. There are some Leicester fans. I personally know. I've been to a couple of channels last night, and I actually saw a lot of reactions saying that it's good riddance because of the fact that he didn't, kind of respect the club towards the end. He wasn't celebrating your goals, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it is football today. Football today has changed. It's not what it used to be. Like even a Figo went from Barcelona to Real Madrid. So why not Leicester to Chelsea? Come on, as in that's nothing. But anyway, where are you on this? As in, I'm pretty sure today, Fofana is still kind of working out his move. That's not done yet. But if Fofana comes here, are you of the fact that okay, fine, we know in Chelsea what is happening in recent years, that we're getting people basically play a couple of years, then they move on to a Real Madrid like Hazard or Rudiger, for example, or Courtois even. Are you like going to accept the fact with him, considering he's so young, or you are like no? Chelsea is invested like he's a record signing almost for a defender. We should basically see him, complete his contract. The way Leicester fans, I know a lot of them are not happy with Fofana. Like, where are you on this?
Well, I feel like, I don't know, like we've had a couple of players leave, but with Christensen and Rudiger, I feel like it was really unfortunate just because of the sanctions, and we should have renewed their contracts like way before. But I think Rudiger would have stayed if it hadn't dragged out so long. Christensen was always kind of like back and forth, but he was very close to staying, and I don't think he was ever. It wasn't like an Eden Hazard situation where Hazard was always like, "Oh, I love Real Madrid. I want to play under Zidane. I want to play," and then Ancelotti came in. So for me, I think like as long as the player gives like everything to the club while they're here, I think like I would expect at least a good like 5 years out of him, but maybe more. And I think it depends like how Chelsea do in that time, if we can sign the right players and be competitive in the Premier League again, or if they have like other endeavors that they want to. I was surprised that Casemiro went to United, and I was thinking, wow, like, they're not even in the Champions League. And then he interviewed and he said, well, I already have 5 Champions Leagues. What do I need another one for? Like, I've already won the competition so many times, so what does it matter? So I think it also just depends on like how Chelsea do at time as well.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point, because I think I saw that interview as well, Ellie, exactly what you're saying, and that moment I realized, okay, there is actually a point, because every player kind of, you do the same thing again and again and again. At some point, you need a new challenge, and that's what maybe Fofana also bringing. Like, yes, he's been at Leicester, he's probably been one of the best defenders in the last couple of years. I know the Reg Joker, that's Akash, is also basically a Leicester fan, by the way. People do give a follow to Akash as well. He writes very well. He is verified on Twitter, just so you know. But yes, I see a lot of boosts for Fofana coming in. You know what? Again, like I say, like it happened with our players as well. That's a reality of football. Now it depends. Like, maybe we are able to keep hold of him if we win. Like, like Casemiro said, like if we win 5 Champions League, let's hope for the best, Ellie. If we are going that way in the next 5 years, and Todd BhaLee is very very kind of ambitious. He's not one of them to stay back. So it's pretty clear that he wants the best. He wants like a rebuild of the top-notch order. And like we earlier discussed, it's not just about today, it's also about tomorrow. So he's building a team for the future. And Fofana can be a leader in that pack. Who knows, right? So again, let's hope for the best there. But again, coming back to the game, yes, a lot of people are talking about Reece James not being in the right position. Again, he is basically the main outlet, Ellie. But how do you see the game panning out? I'll just share the screen again. But in terms of Leicester, again, they are not in form. But considering what Vardy can bring, pretty much sure that is one of the reasons why he's playing as right centre back if he is.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Leicester haven't been in the best of form. I'm just pulling up their fixtures now. They drew 2-2 versus Brentford. They lost 4-2 against Arsenal, and then they just lost 1-2 against Southampton. So 2 consecutive losses and then a draw. I would expect this to be a game that Chelsea wins. I feel like Leicester always show up against us. Like there was like the battle after, I think it was the game after the FA Cup where they beat us. I don't remember.
Yeah, the game after the FA Cup was the one where after Amati did what he did and then Rudiger did what to him, we actually
Yeah.
won. Fofana actually ironically conceded a penalty in that game. It was Timo Werner who won the penalty. I remember that game, and we won that game. But I think you're right. After the FA Cup, Leicester haven't got a win against us. So I don't know. Like, hopefully it's not third time lucky for them. But one difference that I see in the tactics quickly, Ellie, is because you see, you're right. You're right. They've not been a great run of form. I know Leicester fans in the chat. Maybe you can help, but Pride playing at right midfield, like, is that a thing? Because he is really not a right midfielder. He's someone that who is maybe he'll be tucking in for me. So maybe just maybe their plan is to kind of really crowd that midfield, and we have Gallagher and Jorginho only there. So is there a possibility, Ali, that you see that Loftus-Cheek moves on to midfield, like you said, and Kukurea left back, James at right back, which will kind of solve our attacking, problems as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing with formation is that it's always fluid as well. So perhaps we see a 3-5-2 here or a 3-4-2-1. But in game, you're going to have transition with the ball and without the ball. So we could potentially see Ruben Loftus-Cheek tucking more into midfield. And when he plays that right wing back position, I think that he's been more of like an inverted right wing back. And coming inside, it will be interesting to see like how Leicester deal with this, because I thought we looked fantastic versus Spurs, and then Leeds were able to just dominate us. They just marked Jorginho, took him out of the game. So yeah, I'm interested to see kind of how this pans out, because like I said, it was a surprising starting 11 in my opinion, to kind of go with more or less the same team that leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like we can just quickly take a look at the bench as well. What are the options? By the way, here Somare is playing, which is very, very surprising to me. Leicester fans, you need to tell me what's wrong with NDD. I think probably NDD, he's on the bench. Very, very surprising. I don't think NDD has had such bad games this season. But Somare, again, the reason I'm saying shocking is because he was one of them who was supposedly homesick and he wanted to leave. I know he had a fantastic season this year before last, but maybe this can be one of them, where we can target so Mare, because I know that he's less on confidence. But they have obviously Iheanacho, someone who's done well against us in the past, and like I said, Albrighton, another wide player that they have, so they can change the Ayoze Perez as well if they want to go wide. But our bench, Ali, let's talk about our bench here. Armando Broya, again, last time I remember discussing with you on this point, but yes, he was injured. Maybe the fact that he's just coming back from injury, it was pretty obvious that Kai Havertz is going to start this game, right? And then, or do you see that Armando Broya, the fact that Aubameyang is now also close? I know it's still kind of stalled. Do you see Armando Broya kind of wanting to move on, or we should really keep hold of him?
I'm not sure. I think it might depend on if we end up signing Aubameyang, because if we do, then perhaps he would want to move at least to a loan, so that he gets consistent game time, because I think we saw with his loan spell last season, he's not the finished product. He's a very good player, but he's still somebody that's going to need game time week in, week out. I think as things currently stand, he can get game time with Chelsea. If Aubameyang comes in, I think that he probably starts. Kai Havertz, don't know if he makes the starting 11 with his current performances, and then Broya kind of goes down in the pecking order. So I think, like, depending on when we sign Aubameyang and if there's even time left in the transfer window, that's going to dictate what Armando Broya decides to do.
Yep, that's fair point. And yes, people, let's get 50 likes so that we have more people. And yes, by the way, the other match is still going on, Ellie. It's basically stoppage time, and literally I can see them bombarding the box, and it's going pretty close. But yeah, I think probably Manchester United will just come away with the 3 points.
Oh, no.
I don't know about Southampton. Like, they've been that team, right? Who've been like on their day, they can really kind of have that press. But do you see Southampton being one of the favorites to go down? Like, what is your opinion about them this time?
I feel like they've been playing, like, at least I haven't watched any of their other matches this season, to be fair. But I was watching the United match earlier, and I actually felt that they gave them like a good number that United gave Southampton a good number of chances, and that they were attacking, and they didn't quite get the ball to Che Adams in the right positions. But they did have a couple of opportunities. There's one in particular that they were really unlucky not to score, and they defended brilliantly as well. There was one that I'm sure everybody's seen it, but it was like 4 shots and it didn't go in, and I thought that was brilliant. So I feel like they were maybe a bit unlucky. The goal that United scored was brilliant. Like, it was a very, very good team goal, very well worked. It was fast, 1-2 touches. But I was impressed with what I saw. Obviously, I don't really know where United stands yet, because they had a really bad start to the season, and they went to beat Liverpool. So I'm not sure like how difficult of an opponent they are just yet. But I was impressed with what I saw from Southampton in the game today.
Yeah, I think again, like it's anyone's call who's going to be in the relegation zone, and that's what Premier League is, and that's why we love the Premier League. But still, like I just feel that X factor, that cutting edge, about that having a winning mentality, that winning is a habit, right? And that's the only thing that Southampton always kind of fails in recent seasons. Let's see. Like, again, I know there are a few good players. At least for Livramento's sake, I would want him to come back and probably up their game in the defense for sure. But yeah, that's right. I saw your tweet earlier about that. The moment that happened, literally like 5 6. They were like literally playing ping pong in the box and somehow saved that. That was like wow. At least you know what? Here, Akash is having a great point here. Aubameyang, best good going. Chelsea will make thousands late for training fines. Well, we already have that. I think N'Golo Kante, as much as he's that baby faced, a great guy. We love him to the core. We know that he's pretty much late for training. So why not another couple of them? Why not? I think as long as they score goals and in terms of Aubameyang and West, kind of saving goals, I think that'll be enough for me. That's what I really want. But again, just coming back to the game, Ellie, again on the bench, there were other options like Christian Pulisic, for instance. I know that there was a kind of a post going around, Christian Pulisic posting with Aronson and his US teammates. But how do you reckon like the fact that Havertz is not having his A game, and let's get that right. Yes, we don't have like the central striker element. Maybe Havertz can do that in games, but Christian Pulisic also at times does that for US. If you actually notice, right? So don't you feel that this was probably a point where we could have used, because he has that extra bit of creativity where Sterling can be used more, because Sterling is good on the channels, right? So where do you see his future, Christian Pulisic?
It's a tough one, and I'm a big Pulisic fan. Obviously, I'm American as well, so we have that link in common. And if I'm Christian Pulisic, I'm thinking like, what do I need to do to start? Because obviously he hasn't made like the biggest impact, I feel, from the bench that he could have been making in the past couple of games, and he hasn't been nearly consistent enough as he needs to be a starting player. But Kai Havertz didn't even have a shot, not even a shot on target, just not a shot against Leeds. And I understand for the fee that you pay, you want to play him, but he just has looked not himself. He looks a bit lost about the positions that he's trying to occupy and playing off of Sterling. We know that Christian Pulisic can really play across that front line as well. So for me, I would think like if there was one change that I was looking to make, I would think that maybe give Christian Pulisic a shot just to see what he does. If he does nothing, well then he did nothing, and you give it back to Kai Havertz and kind of see who's going to take their opportunity first. But for me, I think he deserves a chance, so it'll be interesting to see if he gets minutes off of the bench, and if he doesn't, I think like he's probably one that I don't think he's going to leave. I don't think Chelsea's going to let him leave. I think that Callum and Ziyech are more likely to leave than Pulisic is, but he's going to be wanting to have minutes ahead of the World Cup as well.
Yeah, absolutely great point, absolutely. But here, maybe an old school of thought will say that, as in there used to be a time, right? As in we've had managers in the past who on purpose did not play certain players, and they're like, no, I'm going to play with what I have, what I'm continuing, because they wanted to make a point to the owner. But you're pretty much sure that's not the case, right? Because Todd Boehly is pretty new. Tuchel won't want to get in the wrong side of things, and vice versa, right? So him not playing Christian Pulisic, does it not even send a message to Christian Pulisic himself? I'm just wondering that part, because if you are not playing me, if I was Christian Pulisic, if you're not playing me, when the guy who's actually playing is actually not even having a single shot with what he's supposed to mean. Yes, he's absolutely fantastic. Kai Havertz, I love him to the core. But the reality is the guy does not have even a single shot. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, again, people who watch the channel know that even I'm a fan. I know Ellie would be like, okay, come on. I think we both have like common, kind of a star base. But at the end of the day, for me, these are future stars for you. Christian Pulisic will probably make a difference in my view as well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, off the bench, we don't have a player who really has an impact, and that's where maybe we'll miss a Werner. And then I've got on record saying, Ellie, that Werner probably should have done much better in the Premier League. He was fantastic in the Champions League for us. But how would we replace that Werner element? Yes, we are linked to Aubameyang, but do you think Harvey Vale or someone like that can come through the season? Someone that Tuchel should believe in more?
Sorry, what was the last part? Who?
No, as in someone from the academy comes in, how will we replace Werner? Because Werner used to still have that impact of the bench, right? Because he had that pace, the space that he created. So I don't know if there's anyone in the academy. Harvey Vale can play wide, I know, but he's not that kind of a player, right? But how do we replace Werner in tactics?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. To be honest, like I think if they haven't really been included in the first team training just yet, I don't think that we're going to be seeing any more academy players right now. Maybe once they play and Tuchel sees them, we started seeing Harvey Vale more towards the end of last season. Perhaps we're going to see a bit of them again. For me, I think like Broya is probably the one. He is an academy product, but we've already spoken about him. That if there is an academy product to get promoted other than Gallagher, I think it would be him, and we'll probably see him getting those minutes. And yeah, it's hard because I think like we have a bench of players who want to leave. So you don't really want to go to them because they want to leave the club, and we should respect that if they want to leave the club. But also if they play for us, then we have to rely on them and be able to rely on them. So it's kind of like a sticky situation right now where we have a lot of players that I think are going to be here in the next year or two. And I know that we were in like a big rebuild, like in Lampard's second season, and then like the season we won the Champions League. But I feel like we still have so many players from so many different managers, and right now we're just seeing that BhaLee's like, okay, I'm finally going to offload the players that Thomas Tuchel doesn't want. I'm going to sign the players that he does want, and that's going to take time. That's not going to happen. We've had an incredible transfer window, but that's not going to happen in just this transfer window. Like it's going to take probably at least one or two more in order for us to kind of get the team back up to like people who really want to play for Chelsea and who fit the style that Tuchel wants to play as well.
Correct. And I know like a lot of folks on Twitter as well, even Chelsea fan base, are talking about Billy Gilmore not being given a chance, for example, right, in midfield. Now again, we only know one side of the coin. Like we don't know if Billy Gilmore himself, because last season I remember a lot of people told the same thing, but I remember that Billy Gilmore's dad actually had a tweet saying that okay, the guy actually wanted to play. So, and that's fair enough. Sometimes maybe they want to play, and maybe that's why maybe our strikers are not sticking on. Who knows? In the worst case, maybe Michy Batshuayi, because it's the World Cup year, just turns up well. And then I'm just hoping for the best. Someone has scored the winning goal for us in the Premier League once, and he's been pretty decent in the past. But I know time has moved on with him. But here I'm going to share a post, not a tweet. This is a post, Ellie, and that's interesting. And I know there are a couple of Leicester fans in the chat, especially for them. And this is like, come on, this is a Leicester legend. You have to kind of go with him at least. This is basically Gary Lineker saying, gutted to lose. But at the same time, every player wants to play Champions League football. And you've got most, talented young central defender. Now that kind of says it all, right, Ali? What do you think? Like,
I've got chills right now.
Yeah, I think we have to park it there. So Leicester fans, I know that if you feel bitter about losing Fofana, but the way that is left, yeah, maybe you don't have the right relationship with him for the time being. But I think in future you'll probably understand. And yes, no disrespect to Leicester, there will be a point, and even Chelsea for that matter. I won't sit here and say that. Say Christensen is an example, Ellie. We kind of fed Christensen. He got all the training possible in Thiago Silva, and finally left for Barcelona in probably our most toughest time as a football club. But he was someone who was actually brought very young into the academy, and then he kind of, he was probably one of the players along with Aspi who was staying the longest last year. So him leaving and Fofana, I don't think you can even compare. So I still wonder why are Leicester fans like so against Fofana? Like, has he done something really wrong in your opinion?
I don't think so. I don't know. Like maybe if it was for my club, I would feel different. Yeah. I'm not like totally aware if he like refused to train or anything like that. I didn't see anything. I just read that he wasn't in the right mindset, which I think makes loads of sense. I think that we need to be more cognizant of these players as people. Like I think, if I'm at a job and I interview for another job and I'm waiting to hear back from that other job and I'm super excited about it and I don't know which way it's going to go and I don't know if I'm going to get it, like, of course, I'm going to be not focused. And the last thing that I think Leicester or Leicester fans would want is for somebody to be on the pitch that has their head a bit elsewhere. And of course, I think, imagine the deal falls apart. I think that he still would have been a professional about it, but I understand him saying like, hey, I really want to push for this deal. I really hope that you respect my wishes and go for it. You're going to be getting a lot of money. You're going to have enough time to find a replacement. This is my dream. I want to make this move. I don't see any problem with it if you go about it the right way, which I think that he did. I didn't see any terrible thing, like
Yeah,
refusing to
I
train
think the
or
only thing
something
which
like
kind of pissed
that.
them off is I know that I think he didn't celebrate the goal. The other day there was a goal and he was actually watching the match from the stands and Leicester scored and he didn't even celebrate the goal when the camera was in him and it was pretty clear the camera was in him. That is one thing that I know, and the fact that he himself, did not want to train, etc. And Brendan Rodgers was like, okay, fine, forget it. You're training with the under 23s, but come on, if again, I'm not kind of arguing too much on that. Leicester fans, I totally understand what Ellie is saying. That if the same player was for my club, I probably would have felt the same. But just reasoning it out, like a Lewandowski, a Virgil van Dijk, those kind of players have done that in the recent past. So a 21-year-old doing that, not the right thing to do. I know two wrongs don't make a right, but come on, you can at least understand and sense, from his perspective what we're saying. That's all we're saying. So I think just let it go. Really, I know it's what it is. Chelsea Blues, hello to you, absolutely. Okay, Manav says, I feel by the end of the game, we might see Brendan Rodgers being sacked. It's not just results, the recruitment, the playing style, everything looks sloppy. And I know, by the way, Mourinho did to Brendan Rodgers in 2014 what he did, when he was managing Liverpool. But somewhere down the line, I remember Brendan Rodgers and as that, assistant coach in Chelsea. He's always been known for being a good coach. But when it comes to management, yes, people call him a bottler. I wouldn't do that because the guy has actually won you an FA Cup. He's there part of the history of Leicester. But where are you on that? Like, because, like, for example, today I know that he's not having Madison, who's probably the main player for Leicester right now. But he is ready to still play Tielemans. Like, what different could he do in terms of tactics? Do you feel that he's not using his squad the best, or the fact that he's not got any new players is got to be told for Leicester, right?
But I don't watch Leicester week in, week out, to be completely transparent. I remember one stats that was like Leicester are the only team like across Europe's top 5 leagues that are yet to sign a player. And it wasn't like
Yeah.
so long ago. And I don't know
And
what
they
they're
signed a
really.
goalkeeper after all that, and that too a third choice goalkeeper. Imagine that.
Yeah. And they're historically like very good with their recruitment. They have a knack for finding this like top talent and then having them play and then selling them off for massive money, as we've seen with Fofana. Well, Harry Maguire they sold off. We got Conte from them. We got Ben Chilwell from them. We've got a ton of players from Leicester. Um, I would give him time because, like you said, like there was a point when they were competing for even a Champions League spot not so long ago, and he won the FA Cup with Leicester, obviously against Chelsea. And so I don't know exactly why they've been having like such a poor run of results. I would give it. I think it's like a bit early to make any decisions about sacking a manager. I would give it a couple of other weeks and kind of see if the results improve because I think given his track record, he kind of deserves that time.
Yeah, and absolutely. Again, people watching, just a quick shout out again. Definitely, please give a follow to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is just past 12K. Let's actually, get to 13K as soon as possible, and us to 6K as well. But here, absolutely one thing that I'm going to add here is, yes, definitely when it comes to Brendan Rodgers and the sack, maybe I think there is a school of thought this season, Ellie, that it's a World Cup year. So there might be a possibility that clubs will actually hold on because it's almost seen as Premier League, part one and Premier League part two this season. So
Yeah.
maybe clubs, as in managers may have it easy this season, or maybe it's more difficult.
Oh, I think it's like super difficult for managers because I think like the amount of fixtures that these players are going to be playing is insane. The Champions League games are squished together. The Premier League games are squished together. I think they have like a couple of days to train with their national team. They come back and then a couple of days later it's like Boxing Day fixtures. And I feel like I think it's like I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel like we could potentially see a lot of injuries because like bodies are just not meant to play that much football. It's going to be insane. So I think that is going to be difficult for managers to be able to like handle this toll physically and mentally to make sure that the players like keep in check because I can imagine like that's going to be so difficult for somebody to constantly be on the go, not have a break, and have a game every couple of days. It's going to be insane. So I think it's going to be pretty difficult, and I hope we don't see too many injuries because of it.
Yeah. Again, it's just timely that we've got the 5 substitutions finally in the Premier League. I know Tuchel has been asking for it like crazily, But after getting that, Tuchel, as much as I love you, please, make those changes a little bit earlier. We need the goals. We need the goals. We can't just win 1-0 every game, and we need to get there. Pretty sure Tuchel will get that. I think he himself wants it. He just wants us to get back the structure that we used to have, when we were in the Champions League, and that's what he's working towards. And we have to commend Todd BhaLee big time. As in the defense, who would have imagined Ellie? Like, come on, losing Rudiger, losing Christensen. Yes, he was not the best in the world, but he was there with Chelsea for so long. And then obviously even the backups have moved on with Malang Sarr and whatnot. Like, and we
Yeah.
replaced them with Kukureya, Koulibaly, and now Fofana. Like, wow. As in, we have arguably upgraded Ellie. As in, if you actually think about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about all of the defensive signs. I think I was really upset to lose Rudiger because I felt like he just brought not even defensive. Obviously, defensively he was very good, but also on the pitch with like his runs, with like just how crazy he is as a
Yeah,
person,
the
and
character,
the
the
energy
character we
that he
miss.
brings. It's like it's that's something that I think is very difficult to replace, and he really
Yeah.
is like or he was a leader on the pitch. But I think, Koulibaly, I think, is going to be a good signing. Obviously, he's getting adjusted to the Premier League. He's hopefully learned his lesson. Like, you can't pull shirts in the Premier League. You will get punished for it, and not to go in for silly tackles or anything like that. But I mean, the defenders that we signed, like, I've been so excited about each and every one of them. I really thought Cucurella was going to go to City. It's like, oh man, another incredible player for City. I couldn't believe it when he signed for us. I was so happy, and for Fana as well. So
Yeah. And talking about City, I'm just looking at it. So City are playing Palace as well. So Ellie, what do you reckon there? And we'll come to the Chelsea game, of course, before ending the stream. But City playing against Palace. Palace has been one of their bogey teams, and I'm pretty much sure that I know Zaha is a miss for Palace. But do you reckon that City should walk past Palace, considering what they've done, and they're keeping Bernardo Silva, and that's the biggest win for them, right?
oh yeah, I mean Bernardo Silva is an incredible player, and I think that they handled that situation with his move very well. And they kind of said, okay, we're going to be open to hearing offers and whatever. In the end, they did convince him to stay, and we've seen that he can be a game changer for them and what he provides to that team. I was pretty surprised that City actually drew against Newcastle 3-3, conceded 3 goals. Last week, I think it speaks more to like how far Newcastle have come, and City were close to winning the game eventually. I would honestly, I know Palace drew against Liverpool. They've been having like a fair start to the season, but I would be surprised if City don't beat Palace, to be completely honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like looking at this lineup quickly, I know that there are a couple of City fans in the house. So just for you all, as in, come on, as in, I've been calling it from day one of this Premier League that this season will be Riyad Mahrez' season. I just called it. I know that I don't want that as a Chelsea fan, but I'm just feeling that Riyad Mahrez is probably one, like, just like Sadio Mane was very underrated, I felt at Liverpool. I feel that Riyad Mahrez doesn't get at City what he was getting in Leicester, in terms of the as in just the praises because of Foden, of how good he's, how young he is. But I think maybe Riyad Mahrez will be the game for him. But as in Ellie's right, Silva is someone that who can fill in like any position that front six, and that's where probably the best part is. And they'll probably gain out of that. Very sad for Nathan Aki, ex Chelsea player. I actually felt that this guy never has luck. Ellie, I think he's had couple of the best games that he's had in a City shirt, but then he gets injured. That's the worst part for City. But yes, I know people are saying that Haaland hat trick. Well, come on, we can kind of expect that. Ali, I know that you are an FPL guru. Who do you have as captain this weekend on your FPL team?
I think, let me check because I was
You know what
going.
I did, and people will laugh at me. You know what? Last weekend, what happened? I had picked Rashford, and while I actually did the FPL deadline stream live, right? So people are like, "How can you take Rashford after what he went through?" And then he scored. So this time I'm like, okay, let me go left field, and I've actually gone for Mo Salah as my captain. I don't know. I know he's
I went
been doing
for
terrible.
Salah as well. I was between
Oh,
Jesus and Salah, and I was kind of like, I don't know, like, why is this? Oh, this is pick team. I was like so confused. I was like, why is this saying Newcastle? They're playing Bournemouth. Yeah, I went for Salah. I was between him and Jesus. Like Arsenal against Fulham, I thought that could be a favorable fixture, and Jesus has looked like so good as well. But I just felt like, oh, Salah has been scoring goals. It's against Bournemouth. Like, he should get something against this team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best.
Let's see. Let's see. Again, Man City dropped point last week, and we know it doesn't happen 2 weeks consecutively. So let's just expect a Man City win. Let's be honest about it. But Liverpool, Bournemouth. Now Liverpool, Klopp has gone on record saying that I think he's admitted that he's going to bring a midfielder. So Ellie, could you see a U-turn here? Out of all the people, I know Frenkie de Jong is almost agreed to that less salary from Barcelona out of all the stories that we expected this season. But there is a news that Liverpool might actually have De Jong in that list of midfielders, along with obviously a lot of others. So that'll be crazy, right? Imagine that midfield with De Jong, man. I
Yeah,
hope
after
that.
like the United saga, the entire summer, and then
Imagine.
potentially Chelsea, and now Liverpool. I think Barca really, I don't know. It seems like they want him off of their books.
Let's see. Let's see. As in,
Thinking
Barcelona do a madness. So I'll be really surprised if he goes to Liverpool. But today, I think Klopp has done the right thing, right? As in, I know it's Bournemouth, but playing Fabinho makes absolute sense, especially when the fact that they don't have like in-form Henderson, so they need like the steel of Fabinho. But what is missing in this team? Like, they haven't looked the team that they were in the last couple of years. Is it the fact that Klopp just plays that heavy metal football year in year out, and finally it's showing in the legs, or Mane was actually the glue that we're talking about?
Yeah, I honestly feel that Sadio Mane, of course, we know what an impact that he had on the team and the goals that he scored and the assists and the runs that he made, just like what an incredible player he is and was for them. But I think that a lot of people, maybe Liverpool included, like underestimated the impact of Sadio Mane leaving the team had, because when he left, I was like, well, they've already bought Luis Diaz. He's slotting right into that starting 11. He's going to be good to go. He's an incredible player, and I do think that he's super talented. But I think that Sadio Mane leaving is a big one. I'm not sure. Like, something that's crossed my mind is maybe like the Champions League loss, losing the Premier League by like so little as well. Like, maybe that could play
Yeah,
on the players. And I
maybe.
think that teams are targeting Trent a lot more, and they've kind of like figured out
Yeah.
like that if they don't allow them to get so forward, and if they can target Trent defensively, there is a way through that Liverpool defense. Virgil van Dijk made a very unclassic Virgil van Dijk mistake, which is
Yeah,
something
he's
that you
very hesitant, right? For whatever reason, he seems very hesitant,
yeah.
which is
So
so
I feel like
unlike Van
that's a
Dijk.
couple of
He's so confident.
teams. Yeah.
Right, right. But again, as a Chelsea fan, as I'm pretty sure Ellie will agree that we don't mind that as long as Man City, Liverpool drop points. At least it makes the league very much interesting, and we have to admit that
I
we are
hope
not
so.
going for the
Yeah.
league. Yeah, and then we'll take a challenge for the top two, and then we'll probably take that early this season. No, as in it's transition season again. But yes, let's hope for a cup. Yeah, talking about losing those finals, as in we are one of them. We have lost few many finals, in those cups. But I know it happened a couple of days ago, Ellie, and we'll come to the predictions and our finals tactics. But what do you reckon? Chelsea drawing Man City in the Carabao Cup. Is it a good thing? A lot of people are saying it's good. At least we won't lose to them on penalties. Where are you on that?
I don't know, because I feel like City tend to not play like a strong team in like the
Yeah.
beginning stages of the cup competitions, and I think Chelsea tend to take the cup competitions a bit more seriously. So coming from that, like potentially it could be good if we could like knock City out early. But I think like I would prefer to face an easier a
Yeah.
classically easier opponent. I can't speak English,
Yeah, no,
but
as in that's right. As in, and someone that that will not be kind of proceeding further. No disrespect, but Man City again, as in you can argue that the recent seasons have proven that Man City need to concentrate more on the cup competitions, because Pep has been told that he's changing EPL to a Farmers League. Hopefully, it does not. But when it comes to cup competitions, probably there is a kind of criticism. So maybe there's a challenge. Let's see. It'll be interesting, absolutely. But again, Champions League as well. We've had a great draw. Ellie, I don't know if I've ever told you. So I used to be, when I started watching football in early 2000s. First, because in India, Serie A used to be the main kind of league that time, which used to be telecast. Then 2002, the World Cup came to Asia, and then we got a lot of EPL. That's how it happened. But so before that, I used to be a Milan fan as well. So I actually am a huge Kaka, Shevchenko fan, etc. So the fact that Milan and Chelsea are in the same group, I always wanted it. Okay, man, finally,
Oh
come on. And this
wow.
this year it is. So come on. And I actually did a mock draw, and we did it live. Even in the mock draw, I got them out together. Imagine that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I should just call that Chelsea wins the Champions League and it comes true. I'm just kind of bragging for once. But let's get back to the game quickly before we end the stream. People, people, what do you reckon? What is the scoreline going to be? Chelsea versus Leicester. I still feel that we're not playing Sterling the right way. But what's your guess? What is the best way of attack and what's the weak point of Leicester for you, Ellie, in this level?
Um, the attack, honestly, the attack, I don't know, because I feel like this system that we're playing doesn't quite suit the attackers because we're playing Mason Mount out of position. I think we're not really playing Sterling. I think he plays better like as a wide winger, and we're
Yeah,
playing him
off
more
the
in.
striker at best. Exactly.
And Kai Havertz, I honestly couldn't tell you what his best position is because he's played all over. Maybe I don't know. I think he's kind of like a conundrum for me. I don't know what his best position is. He can kind of play all over, but I haven't seen him like excel in any one position. So for how to get the best out of the attack, I feel like a different formation, we get the best out of the attack, but then we have the midfield issue. So we're kind of like sacrificing like one area of the pitch over another for me. So I don't know. I don't think that I don't I don't know if we're gonna keep a clean sheet, but I do think that we should beat Leicester. So I'm gonna go for like a 2-1
2 1.
prediction.
Okay.
But
Uh,
I don't like
yeah.
I don't know. What's your prediction?
Yeah, as in, you know what, as in you have a point certainly because it's so confusing right now that what is the best attack. But for me, simply put, as in we saw them training in midweek, right? As in one of the examples that is again there, Gallagher is the best shot taker. So you can argue that Gallagher should be probably playing off Sterling, but the fact that he's a shot taker and the fact that Leicester might sit back, so maybe Gallagher is may just work better than what he did against Leeds because Leeds were actually pressing. Let's see. Maybe Brendan is a good coach. He might have seen Leeds and probably opted to play this way. I don't know. But for me, they'll probably sit back. Sumare being there, Dewsbury Hall being there, Pratt being there. I don't see them kind of having that kind of press, that kind of pace. So I really feel that Gallagher might be the difference maker. And yes, I'm going left field people today. You're hearing it here. Today is going to be a Conor Gallagher special. You're going to see a Conor Gallagher goal as well as a Sterling goal because one of the shots will probably rebound and come to Sterling. And I'm actually calling that. But you're right. As in, I can see Leicester scoring as well. So I have a strange feeling because it's Chelsea against Leicester who are right now in 19th position. We might actually concede 2 goals. So we might have to go for the third goal. I see more goals in this, despite that tight, kind of a setup of Leicester. But Sumare starts absolutely TCSB. By the way, shout out goes to TCSB, brilliant channel people, a Real Madrid fan in the house, but he knows stuff. Giant and of course Suraj, who's a Swansea City fan. So people to check out. Shout out to Messi as well, a member of Almighty Blues FC. Thanks, Messi. Like I say, it's always a fan channel for all to see. But I love the fact that we have a lot of neutrals who kind of always have their expert opinion because at the end of the day it's you guys who know the stuff. Okay, 3-2 to Leicester. Adesh is saying interesting that 1-all draw. Okay, fair enough. And I know shout out to PB Talks as well, by the way. PB Talks reckons that we might go 4-3-3. Like Ellie said, in game you can see that if you're not getting enough possession in midfield, we might actually use Loftus Cheek's strength and body, which kind of Tuchel likes. I am still hoping Ellie that Chaloba at left centre back, it doesn't make it will be so unfair. Imagine it's not his position. If he plays there and he makes a mistake, Tuchel will probably do the same thing again, right?
I mean, I'm kind of like surprised to see him starting because I think he's going to go out on loan with the arrival of Fofana. And so I was like fully expecting Cucurella to play left center back, Aspie to come in at right center back, and then Ben Chilwell to start at left wing back. So I'm kind of surprised that he's starting. And obviously not in his preferred position. Hopefully he'll have coverage from Cucurella and from Thiago Silva, and then they'll be able to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like Ayush is saying, exactly, our full backs, our wing backs rather, are not utilized as much in the system. Again, you can argue that Tuchel doesn't have the people that he does generally, like Kovacic coming off the bench, maybe will change things. and me and Ellie are both hoping that Kovacic comes on. I hope that he's not brought on too early, Ellie, because it looked like he'll be out for a good 3 weeks, but I think he's come back within 2 weeks. So really hoping that Kovacic doesn't get injured again. We need him for the next weeks because we have a lot of games coming up, right? Manav says classic Chelsea 2-0 victory. Well, yeah, it's gone into classic Manav. Recently gone on the days, but I'm hoping that we get absolutely. But yes, shout out to Manav as well, a member of Almighty Blues FC. But again, thanks a lot, Eli. I know that a lot of conversations around Chelsea is always good. But again, people do check out Elizabeth's channel. She is past 12K. Hopefully, you get her to more. And not just that, if in case you don't know, Elizabeth, definitely features a lot when it comes to Premier League, when it comes to Chelsea, and hopefully we kind of touch base again. Ellie, of course, if you need us anytime, do let us know. Always, I would say that Ellie brings out the content which is kind of, she just speaks her mind, and that's the best part about Ellie. So hopefully we'll have you again, Ellie. But the main thing is we'll get a win, and then we can probably be in a better mood to kind of discuss things. But big up to you. Any last words for the chat or anyone?
No, just thanks so much for having me on, guys. Make sure you sub to this channel. My at is at, this is my at on Twitter because my full name does not fit. So I had to cut it. It doesn't fit by one character. So this is my Twitter handle. But like Ankit is saying, I have a YouTube channel as well. It's my full name, Elizabeth Helenek, and you can find me on Insta and TikTok on with those handles as well.
Absolutely. So yes, people, come on. Let's get that the Blues to the victory. And yes, of course, let's welcome Fofana in the right way. Again, Leicester fans, don't worry. I'm pretty much sure that you'll be safe. Don't worry about it, and you'll get your players right. But not this weekend. That's all I can say. Till next time, take care and up the Chelsea.